from these two-day events where CPHR graduate. So probably we have Dr. Gertrude here, who is a CPHR graduate as well as the next speaker. Now, I guess Dr. Gertrude is ready. So may we now call on Dr. Gertrude in this session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I am tasked to talk about flexible HR compliance and policy deployment in the new normal. I am Dr. Gertrude P. Tuason, CPHR, HRMO Director of Holy Angel University. The year 2020 has brought unprecedented changes to the global economy and the world of work. As the lockdowns or stay at home measures entered into force, a large proportion of the workforce was instructed to stay home and continue to work remotely if their functions make it possible. The pandemic has certainly fast tracked the adoption of work from home modalities by employers. This offers the opportunity for a more flexible work schedule for workers and the freedom to work from an alternative location away from the premise of the employers. The pandemic brought everything to a halt. From the busy EDSA, the hustle and bustle of Makati, and the crowd in Manila. And of course, agile as HR should be, we shifted to work from home. From connectivity to doing bubble arrangement to our frontliners, among other things. Organizations began to implement a number of strict hygiene and safety regulations, and the continued restrictions. Physical distancing in elevators, offices, and meeting rooms may not make it possible for the entire workforce to return safely to the employer's premises. From the submission of the healthcare checklist, wearing face mask and face shield, the 1 meter distance were some safety protocols implemented for the skeleton workforce of the organization. Several changes have been noted in the onset of the stricter working conditions, in particular in the IATF guidelines and issuances from DOLE. In May 1, 2020, through memorandum, DTI and DOLE interim guidelines on workplace prevention and control of COVID-19 was implemented with the inclusion of those to increase physical and mental resilience, reducing transmission of COVID-19 for workers inside the workplace, how to minimize contact rate, and on reducing the risk of infection from COVID-19. Further stated in the said memorandum are the duties of employers and workers. Similarly, in a joint advisory between DTI, DOLE, DILG number 20-01 series of 2020, which provided the guidelines on the curfew hours and on multiple and staggered work shifts to shift from total risk avoidance to risk management and on to further reopening of the economy. The latest from which is the advisory number 21-01 series of 2021 on the continued vigilance against COVID-19 variants through reinforcement of existing minimum public health and safety standards and protocols. On the other hand, organizations have been revising or enhancing their policies, if not formulating new policies in their new work arrangement. To name a few are the following: attendance monitoring, data privacy issues relating to online meetings, submission of documents online, the use of e-signatures, social media policy, the need to focus of work output instead of number of hours became the new norm. Training and meetings are being done online, thus the need to strengthen the core values of all organizations like trust and confidence, honesty and integrity were implemented. Given the new normal, these are the following that needs to be looked into. Implementing of the post-COVID-19 plan or the return to work policy. Revisit strategic plans to include KRAs relating to crisis management or risk management. Review policies relating but not limited to attendance, sick leaves, social media, and data privacy. Formulate health and safety protocols for the safety of all our employees. And the last one would be to strengthen mental health programs for all our employees. Given the new normal with the change of alert levels relating to COVID-19 and slowly easing of restriction, communication is now the most important process that is needed to deploy policies. The COVID-19 pandemic has led employers to increase interaction with workers significantly. Recent research shows that 9 out of 10 have increased communication on health and safety tips, while 84% have provided advice on working from home. Use official email when sending memos. Equip the system with read and receive notifications, especially with critical memos. Second is utilize social media in the new normal. So come up with group messengers from different departments and as a whole to communicate these policies. Communicate, communicate, communicate. If there's such thing as location, 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 this time in the new normal, communication is really vital to all organizations. Enhance the top to bottom and bottom to top communication process. The organization may opt to create subgroups to ensure that everyone is covered. Like in our case, what we do is to come up with committees to study the policies that must be formulated. After which they seek feedbacks from certain groups, from different groups, and present it to the senior leaders for approval. Once approved, HR is then tasked to communicate it to the community. Another communication process that must be looked into is by providing tools to managers to ensure cognitive balance on the frequency and quality of communication. We have to help our managers and supervisors. We have to provide them tools in order to equip them to come up with quality meetings to all their employees. Last one would be communication in terms of mental health state of employees. Learn to communicate by coming up with mental health plans for your employees. First is to, of course, gauge the mental health state of our employees, come up with the plan, and use it to help them in their routine. Second important factor that must be looked into is the workplace safety and health. Update or prepare the return to work policy. In our case, skeleton workforce is adjusted based on the directives of the LGU, based on directives of the IATF, and based on the condition of the organization. So we can start with 30%, 40%, and 50%. Now that the restrictions are easing, we are now increasing the number of skeleton workforce coming in. Back to work, we have to assess the various roles in our organizations. So because of the pandemic, there are some duties that can be integrated in order to for one person to be able to do the job. So it's really important to assess the various roles in the organization. You may also come up with flexible work schedule or do work from home arrangement to some tasks that can be done online. Never forget to run employee surveys, interviews, focus groups, and question and answer sessions in order to ensure that their voices are included in the design and implementation of future policies. So Be open for comments and suggestions so that your employees will feel that they're also important in your organization. In the deployment process in our organization, we have utilized the following emails. We came up with group messengers, Viber groups. We came up with Facebook for employees. And we gave them Zoom accounts and MS Teams in order to utilize uh, this for communication processes. So at the onset of the lockdown, we formulated the work from home policies, which covers certain restrictions when coming in. Likewise, they were instructed to submit accomplishment reports once they're assigned to work from home, once they're allowed to work from home. And there are several other issues that can be used as reference in this work from home policies. The new normal dictates us to check the right size of the workforce for future reference. Second, to train and develop workforce in a way that provides them with greatest flexibility, sustainability, and resilience. We have to use analytics to be able to make sound decisions that is related to finance. Review our mental health policies, programs, and practices. Revisit compensation principles as the case may apply. Improve or enhance communication process. New roles, are there new roles or positions due to the shift to the new normal? Restructure the performance management and promotions because of online. So let me leave you with a saying about the new normal. If every crisis demands self-discipline, patience, early adoption, and adjustment to the changing situation. So agility is part of the game in the new normal. Let us all be agile and welcome this new normal to be able to attain the objective of our organization. So thank you so much and good luck to all of us.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Gertrude Tuazon, for helping us navigate through the challenges and changes in policies. Now, probably we can cater to questions and answers from our audience. So let me just check if Dr. Gertrude is with us. Not through. All right. Again. Okay. Great, great. Okay, Dr. Gertrude, indeed that the HR really shaped the future of HR. Just like in the year 2020, we were actually quite surprised as to how are we going to move with the changes. Now comes 2021, now where I think we're beginning to settle down in the new normal of having virtual work arrangements and having them, you know, get acclimated with this kind of changes. And then comes 2022, where it may be a good news now for everybody because we are seeing a return to work policies now. But it comes also another challenges where we need to adjust again with this very fast environment. We really have to make sure and ensure that our workplaces are already, we are already in our the last months the fourth quarter. So with this in mind, no, do you believe in this times, Dr. Gertrude, that the pandemic has indeed expanded the role of HR? And of course, why do you think so?
Thank you, Sir Jester. No, of course, in the onset of the pandemic, HR became the spokesperson of the organization. First, we have to deal with our with the Department of Health because of the pandemic. No, we need to ensure that they're vaccinated with pneumococcal, anti-flu. After which yung yung actual vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine. So another aspect would be we also coordinated with LGU now, local government units, because of course in the implementation of the skeleton workforce, you have to ensure na talagang safe ang ating mga employees. So really it has expanded. No, this is the hardest time for to be in HR. Admittedly, no, it was really challenging. Up to now, return to work naman ang problema natin. Now we're looking into looking at the offices, so they have the right space. What about immunocompromised employees? What do we do? So we have to think about that. No, learning and development is also different now because we need to give emphasis to not only their developing their skills but also providing them information related to health. So we're learning
Right,
in
right. Because
HR.
yeah, especially those employees no who, parang nandun pa yung fear nila sa vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
So yun ang challenge no yung return to work no if
Yeah.
they do not wish to be vaccinated because that's the policy of DOLE. We cannot really force everyone, but there's also
Mm-hmm.
a policy that meron tayong a safe space for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But how can they have a safe space if
Mm-hmm.
hindi nga vaccinated? That is why it's very timely to have the talk of Dr. Marie
Correct.
Rosario uh, yesterday to build vaccine confidence no sa workplace no. Now
Mm-hmm.
apart from that, now as an HR leader in the coming year 2022, if you are to prioritize the guidelines and policies, what do you believe you should prioritize as an HR leader, especially for those others who hasn't really uh, give thought of preparing and as we go back to the office or on site by next year, what do you think are the guidelines and policies we should as HR leaders prioritize in the coming year 2022?
Although we have already the social media policy, Sir Jester, no, one because we have online education, so talagang media is now being utilized by everyone. Probably strengthen that. Data privacy is another one, and then we should look into health and wellness, pa rin. Give emphasis to that. How do we keep our employees safe? Yung mental health state nila. So those are policies that should be prioritized with this pandemic.
All right. Of course, if you wouldn't mind sharing, no, as we prepare, no, for a post-pandemic workplace through policy deployment and flexible HR compliance, no, what should HR do to prepare for the return to work, no, by the coming year 2022? As an HR leader of Holy Angel University, what were the initiatives you've took, especially that you've mentioned? Occupational safety and health. So, just for an example of, or as a guideline, no, what steps did you took to have a safe workplace for the return to work arrangement?
Arrangement, yes. Actually, what we did is to redefine the definition, redefine skeleton workforce in our organization. No, previously, kasi we looked into skeleton workforce as that of mandated by the LGU. But right now, because we're slowly trying to let our employees in already, so what we did is to look into the distance of one office table to another, the flow of our employees. So it's not just about the capacity of the organization that is allowed by LGU, but it's more of kasi lalo na if you have a big office naman, no? So we're trying to increase our skeleton workforce already so that there's a timeline up to when we will be 100% operational already. What is important is that you involve everyone in the process of doing your return to work. It's not just HR that should be working with the return to work. No, it involves everyone: the campus services, the office of the president, finance. So third would be to assess your risk plans. Again, it's a lesson learned from all of us, no? Right after, right after the lockdown, we were all groping in the dark as to what can we do with our organization. So parang now is a time that we really do learn from the past experience, kumbaga. So the fourth one is to enhance pa rin communication. Kasi everyone should be, not all are in the in the workplace already, no? So communication pa rin is essential in the coming 2022.
Right now, I like what you mentioned a while ago: communication, communication, communication. Even with these processes in line, even with these guidelines in line, even with these policies in line, no,
Yeah.
it's actually about us leaders communicating it properly to
Mhm.
the members of the organization, as well as, again, no, this is not just the role of HR, as what Dr.
Yeah.
Gertrude said. It is also a shared responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah. So with that, Dr. Gertrude, no, you would like to give any parting words, or perhaps a challenge that you would like to give to the HR leaders as well as to employees, as we go through this another transition that is about to happen in the coming year 2022.
I know HR is very taxing right now, but it's also very exciting for all of us. No, when we are able to let our employees in, say, in a safe workplace, I think that's the accomplishment of HR. At wala tayong mga transmission and all, then we know that our planning is effective. So I challenge you to do your strategic plans well, assess your organization, and I'm sure everyone will be safe. Thank you.
All right. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Gertrude Tuazon, for having this talk with you. Now,